For the best Italian food in Western New York, Elliot Apollos, call 716-825-3675. The Lardon Construction Group.
Fubo TV, the official streaming service of Dew Champions. FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Dew Champions.
For all your summertime needs, beauty pools, as well as kayak pools.
CX Chronicles, your total customer solutions focused manager. W.GG, the official energy drink of Dew Champions.
Hey, Sons of Erie, our artwork looks better on your walls. Hamburg Brewing, please visit our tap room on Boston State Road, Hamburg, New York. And finally,
Fat Boy Surf Club for all your surfing needs.
Welcome to another Victory Monday. As ugly as it may be, you have Alex and Miley, and Randall's not coming in today. But what's up, Miley?
Not much. Just came back from Cleveland. I was at the game yesterday. I'll be at the next two games also, so I won't be missing another game till playoff time, which is cool.
Was this you at the game?
That was me last year.
No, I know.
Yeah, and then it'll be me next week against the Eagles.
Yeah. I forgot. Don't you do that? You said you do it every year?
Yeah, I do it every year. I pick one snow game every year to do it.
Man, what it is to be young, dude. That looks like it would have broke my spine in like 10 places and had like vertebrae break crushed, you know. I don't know how you sustain that kind of fall from that distance.
You get enough alcohol flow and you have enough clothes on. I have like 5 layers of pants on, so it's like a little cushion. And it's cold, so there's snow on the ground. And so I'm not doing it like wearing shorts on a 70-degree day where, I'm going to feel that much more. But I got like 5 layers on and get a little drinking going, and you don't really feel it as bad.
Yeah. I would imagine like you probably didn't feel at the time but like I'm sure the next day it didn't feel good.
Not that I remember it being
really
that bad. I think I get a little bit of a headache like when I do it, but like nothing too brutal. And the one time, actually the second year I did feel because I landed weird on my ankle. And the only reason I was able to walk into the game is because the adrenaline, and that one hurt. But I hurt my ankles. I roll my ankles all the time. So like a week later, it was fine.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would be like up there and twist my ankle, fall off, and my ankle would break.
But I think I landed on it weird the second time I did it. But that time I was able to just have the adrenaline go through it. But last year, I don't think I had too much issues.
So to the game, like what were your kind of initial thoughts?
Greg Rousseau is a beast. The apology needs to be as loud as the disrespect. AJ Epinesa still hasn't learned how to keep contained. I saw him get beat multiple times, and it was very frustrating. Our secondary looks very good once again. Milano looks like he is back to like pre-injury form. These last couple weeks, he has been like 2022, 2023 Milano, which is awesome. Our wide receivers are terrible. Dawson Knox is so confusing. He's so good one week and then forgets how to catch the ball the next week. I just don't understand how someone can have such bad hands. It really amazes me.
Yeah. Did you see the catch? Did you see the miss? I know you were at the game, but on the video, I mean, like he clapped first, or he didn't clap. He kind of like he brought his hands in to catch it, and the ball wasn't there yet, and then it kind of hit his. It didn't even bounce off his hands. It was bad.
But it's like on a play like that, you're wide open. Catch it with your chest. It wasn't a hard pass.
Yeah.
Josh kind of floated over. That's one where you literally just grab your arms, put it to your chest, and hold on for dear life. On a fourth down play, when you're wide open. Yeah, the Brandon Cooks drop, I think that he should be a healthy scratch. I think that a wide receiving core should be Palmer. I think it should be mainly Palmer, Shavers, and Shakir they should all be getting 75, 80% of the snaps. And then you rotate in Mecole Hardman and Gabe Davis. I think those should be the 5. I think Keon and Cook should just be healthy scratches, barring injuries the rest of the year.
Yeah,
I wouldn't cut them just in case. I wouldn't cut them just because in case of injuries.
Like
you want to have them. Like if for some reason someone goes down, you can put them in there. But I think they should be healthy scratches, barring injuries rest of the year. I think that you want Gabe Davis and Shavers kind of your blockers, Mecole and Palmer, and they're kind of your deep threats. And then Shakir. And that's still an awful core, but I think that's the best we can do with a bad situation. And it's kind of funny. If you look at the team in like four different like categories, you got your passing offense, your rushing offense, your passing defense, and your rushing defense. We have 2 major holes out of the 4. 2 of them were top 5 in the league, and 2 of them were bottom 5 in the league, which is kind of crazy. I mean, we're not a bottom 5 passing offense, but receiving core.
But you're a bottom 5 for receiving core for sure.
And then if you look at it, it's like I think 50% of the blame goes to Beam, 50% to McDermott, because I think the rushing defense falls much more on McDermott due to the fact that we have had guys in our building that have looked much better when they leave. That Poona Ford, Tim Settle, Jordan Phillips, these are the guys I keep bringing up because these guys look much better on the defensive line when they leave. And you have someone like TJ Sanders is another proof of it. It's because he wants all of them to get smaller. For some reason, I will never understand. I don't get it. And he wants every D tackle to get bigger. And then the wide receiving core, I'm going to give mostly the blame to Bean because McDermott's a defensive guy. It's Bean's philosophy there. He wants every wide receiver to be a big body guy who can block. And that's also stupid. And
I think the same thing.
There's no versatility in either of those rooms, and that's really what – I mean, you could kind of say there is in the wide receiver room, but not really. The Browns ran man coverage on 77% of the snaps. And Josh have a great game, but I think it wasn't as bad as it seemed. He missed 2 throws.
Yeah, he missed 2 throws.
Yeah, that 3rd to 4th down chain where he missed a wide open Shakir, then he missed Shavers, bad. But then he also had Cooks dropped a 10-yard pass. Knox dropped a touchdown. Brandon Cooks dropped like a 35-yard pass. Yep. And then there was the Kincaid one where I think it was a catch, but you can't really overturn that. And that's, I think, all of the incompletions. He had 7 incompletions. Yeah. I think I'm missing maybe 1.
Yeah, that was a catch.
Like he was fine running, and then the sack he tripped. I get he needs to stop doing that running back 30 yards, but at the same time, he makes some crazy plays out of it. So I'm going to live with the good with the bad. He didn't get caught. He just tripped. That happens to everyone. Like, I'm not going to get mad at him for tripping. If he actually got tackled, that's different. But I have a feeling he was going to get away and at least throw the ball away there. I don't think he would have taken a sack if he didn't get tripped.
Yeah, I think that was like a press. I think they started to press a little bit. We had him down, like we had him at 20-10, and I think Allen at the end of the half we were trying to get points, and they brought a blitz, and he didn't. I don't know if he just didn't see it or what. Came to the front side. It wasn't a backside. And then he kind of ran into the backside at the end. And I might have been just Mason Graham making a great play on the defensive line. But I think it was just a present. Great. Yeah, it was fine. Yeah, I thought that they schemed it right to get away from Myles Garrett. Which was smart. They did a lot of like play action rollouts to the right. They would just kept running away from him, which is exactly what you kind of need to do in those scenarios. And it worked for a while. And I thought that the passing game was going pretty good. And then at the second half, it just kind of stagnated a little bit. We had a couple drives in a row where we just didn't get anything out of it. I think it got us out of rhythm. And then, defensively, we let up some long drives. Offense got cold. But yeah, I don't know. Like the defensive players that we've let go too, just as a secondary point is, those guys don't even get to play a lot of times. Like Poona Ford didn't get any playing time. He's a healthy scratch a lot. Like what's the dude's name? Plays for Houston.
Tim Settle.
Settle. He played some, but we rotate so often. I don't think he really got a ton of chances, especially with Ed Oliver being in the way. And Daquan was in his prime at that point. So it was kind of like, how much time can you really give him on the field anyway? And they did have him playing a little bit out of position, in my opinion. I think they tried to make Settle kind of a small 1-tech. I don't even think they really ran him as a 3-tech very often, from what if I can remember right. So receivers, yeah. I mean, I saw a stupid stat online today about open rate. I mean,
I showed that to you. You're welcome.
Yeah. I mean, it's dumb as shit. It doesn't mean separation. That's the problem. Open rate conflates a lot of different factors together. It probably factors in screen passes and playing against zone and the scheme itself. You can scheme guys open, right? But that doesn't mean they're actually beating their man. Like, we can't always rely on the scheme to like bail us out of not being able to win man-to-man matchups. You know what I mean? So even if that is accurate, which I feel like it's still not, since the Steelers were number 1 in the NFL, the separation rate is really the problem that we need to really hone in on. You know what I mean? So
and then even when they do get open and Josh makes a perfect throw back-to-back weeks, Brandon Cooks drops it, which is frustrating because he's actually getting open, which is nice to see on those long passes. And then he just drops it. It's like, it's just so frustrating.
I would say, like, to me, sorry. I think that Cooks, he's getting some separation down the field, which is nice, but it's not a lot though. Like, he's still taking on contact as soon as he touches the ball, and that's a lot of the problem. He's just kind of diminutive, but I just don't. I mean, it's that one play a game. Like, he got 2 targets the last 2 weeks, dropped them both, I think. And then you've got Palmer, who I know you really like Palmer. I like the idea of Palmer. I do. I like his skill set. Like, I think he gets down the field pretty well. I like his size. I think he's relatively good at separating. I think he's got solid speed, if not spectacular. So I mean, he's good in those areas, even though he's not a spectacular specimen where he's like excels in anything. He should be better than he is. I know he's probably playing a little bit hurt, but
I think he's not 100%. I also just don't think Allen has that trust with him yet. Because, I mean, that Falcons game was looking really good. I mean, again, it was only 2 catches, but he had like 2 catches for like 70 yards against a team that likes to run man a lot and blitz a lot. And it's like he was beating them. And then, I just don't think he's been 100%, which is just frustrating that had to happen. Obviously, I'm known to really like Palmer. I think that skill set is still very good. I still see him a lot of plays like kind of getting open, and then it's like every time he seems to get open is the times that Allen gets pressured, and then he just can't get through his progressions and can't look at it. Like on that play against Houston where he threw the pick on 4th down, Palmer was open for a time. It just Josh had a guy right in his face, and
I think you just if we really want to make him our number 1 target, which I think he's clearly after seeing, he should be probably. Like we've seen the cycle of guys come in now. We've seen Elijah Moore and him getting targets, and he just didn't cut it. And then Mecole got 1 target, I think. So we see what he's got, but he's never been a high-end player. I think we can go after a lot of the same type of guys. Like we have Josh. These guys weren't as good in these other places, or they're inconsistent in these other places. They'll be more consistent here because of Josh, or because of our scheme, because of where they are. We'll give them more targets, and then it'll show more. But people don't realize that like sample sizes matter. And when you have small sample sizes of target shares, and then all of a sudden it gets increased, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be an equal advance as you go through the targets going up. You're not going to get the same thing as you get target 80 versus target 30. You know what I mean? Because there could be a reason you have 30 targets, right? You're not taking on the top corner every week. Like, I don't think Palmer probably is equipped to do that. He's not going to beat a guy like Stingley, right? But I don't know. Like, is what it is. I mean, at this point, this is who we are. It's not changing, right? We either lean into what we have and see if it works, and I have my doubts, or we don't, and we try to keep playing around with shit.
I think at this point, we have to just lean into what we have for this playoff run.
So I think that we can do some things on defense to improve. I think that Darnell Savage, I would love to see Poyer rest this week and Savage come in and take a spot. Hopefully he knows defense at this point. I'd also I know Judon hasn't been good this year, right? In the last 2 years or whatever, but they got rid of Fox, right? So
no, I don't think that they caught Fox. I didn't see that.
I thought they did, but I could be wrong. But I thought that maybe they didn't. Maybe Fox is still on the roster, but they could exchange. No, I think he did cut Fox.
Yeah, I didn't see it. If they did, I did not see it.
Yeah. So either way, okay. So Fox was the idea was he was going to take Hoyt's kind of role, right? And the fact that Fox, if he is cut, now I'm questioning my own what I saw, but I thought I saw that.
I'm gonna
just the idea is
see if I can.
Check it real quick. But the thought and the idea is for Judon to play that kind of role versus playing a true defensive end role. And if that's the case, I think we maybe could see a little bit more production out of him, given that he could kind of be all over the field, kind of like a.
Oh yeah.
You did. Okay. That's what I thought. Okay, cool. So I feel like if we use him in that role, which the cutting of Fox tells me at least there's a chance that that's a possibility. That's how they see him. Because I know when they brought Fox, he was supposed to be the Hoyt replacement. He just hasn't worked out. I have more faith in Judon to do that than I ever did Fox.
Because I've seen Judon do it before.
I've seen Judon do it before, and I can see Judon roaming all over the place, kind of like Hoyt did, versus put him in a true defensive end set. I just don't think he's got that kind of juice anymore. I think you want him standing up and kind of roaming around and just creating pressure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I view it. So if those guys can come in, I think that maybe, and then we'll get Oliver back eventually.
Hopefully we make it far enough. I mean, right now the playoff scenarios are looking pretty good with Baltimore losing. As long as Pittsburgh beats Cleveland or Baltimore loses to the Packers, they'll have that locked up before Week 18, which is pretty likely. And then if we win out, we are guaranteed the 5 because even though the Chargers are still ahead of us, if they win out, they jump Denver for the division, and we have the tiebreaker over Denver. And then if they lose a game, we'll just have a better record. Hold
that thought real quick. I want to finish my analysis of the game because that's what I want to get into next. Actually, I want to go too deep into it because I'll forget what I want to say. All right. So on defense, I wanted to point out a couple of things. Benford played, right? Because I didn't even notice him on the field. Okay, good.
Yes, he played. I was scared he got it. I was scared he almost got injured. I was like,
because
one of the last drives. No, not even that. One of the last drives, it was like a throw out of bounds, and it's like Benford got like pummeled by, I think it was Bishop, out of bounds on like some throw, and I'm like, please get up, and then he did. I'm like, okay, get him off the field.
I did look at him. I mean, it was being a little bit facetious, but I did see him eventually on the field. But at first, I was watching the game for like 15, 20 minutes. I'm like, wait a second, is Benford even playing today? Then I look and I saw him over there, and he just kind of isolated whoever he had, and I guess it was Judy most of the time, and it was a nothing.
I don't even know if Judy had a catch.
He had one. It was like really short. I think it was like 3 yards or something.
Yeah.
And then I thought he was good. I thought all the corners were pretty good again.
Yeah.
I think it is a strength now at this point with Max bringing up the rear here. Taron Johnson this is the kind of game he's fine in. You know, he didn't have anything to worry about really. Terrell Bernard is just not good at football anymore. I don't think I'm not trying to be mean. I just don't, unless he's severely injured playing still. And I think we could probably draw back to his past a little bit. I was never a huge fan of him being middle linebacker in this team. I thought he was undersized. I didn't think he'd be able to take on the run very well or take on blockers. I mean, those are true. I thought he was average in coverage at best. I think he gets interceptions because he's opportunistic, but I don't think he's necessarily good in coverage. You know what I mean? And I think he's kind of an average athlete. Like, he's really good at attacking, but it's almost like a Dorian Williams effect in some ways, although he's been kind of bad as well. Thompson and Milano are the best linebackers we have. That's a weakness. It's a weakness on our team.
I don't know. The depth is a weakness. I think with Thompson and Milano out there playing the way they have recently, I wouldn't call that a weakness. I'd say the depth is a weakness if they get injured, but those two out there have been both very good.
Don't you think Thompson's faded a little bit last 2 or 3 weeks, though? Just a smidge.
I mean,
just doesn't feel like he's not what he was playing like. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying he's been bad. He's been better than Bernard for sure.
I think it's more so, Milano's been playing like an all-pro these last couple of weeks, so I think it's more so just our D tackles are brutal because McDermott's philosophy is we want them all undersized. So then Bean gets them all undersized. They're what's the word I'm looking for? Their negligence of the nose tackle position is really the downfall of this defense.
And Deion Walker was good this week. He's the only one.
Yeah, Deion Walker. But Deion Walker is someone I think he's always going to be like this in his career. I don't trust the consistency. I think he's going to have the splash plays. I think he's also going to have the bad plays. And honestly, I'm for a 4th round pick. We get a bunch of splash plays. That works for me. When we drafted him, I hated the pick, and he's blown out my expectations. He's already been better than I thought he'd be. I didn't expect these splash plays. I just expect him to get blown out of the water all the time. I
think he's like a souped up version of Jordan Phillips at his best.
Yeah, exactly. A lot better, more consistent version, but those still high end plays, but still not super consistent. Again, I think that's fine. Oliver, of course, he had to get injured this year. When the 2 games he played, he looked like he was going to be an all-pro, defensive player of the year running in those 2 games. He was the best defensive player in football for the 2 games he played.
I agree.
It was insane. He had 3 sacks in 2 games as a D tackle.
You see Cole Bishop got like the 5th most fan votes for safety.
Oh, that's nice. Did you see Josh had 2nd most overall?
Yeah, he's 1st in quarterback.
Behind just Kelsey, but that's the Taylor Swift.
That's the Swifty bullshit. Yeah, who cares?
I do like how Josh squeaked out Drake May at the end, even though Pro Bowl means absolutely nothing.
It means nothing. Yeah, I honestly, I cannot give. I know Drake May played pretty good yesterday. The Ravens aren't good on defense, and it was without Lamar Jackson. They had to come back in the game. I know he had 380 yards, also other stuff, but like his receivers.
Keon Coleman looked good against the Ravens.
Yeah, and his receivers catch everything, dude. Like, I've never seen a group of receivers have so many contested catch wins. Like, Diggs leads the league at 82% or something. And
then all they do is talk, and then all Patriots fans do is talk
about how bad
the receiving core.
No,
it's
dude,
like,
way better than
really? Come look at Buffalo and then start talking.
Dumbasses. And then it's like
we had the receiving core of last year. Like, yeah, last year when they want to complain about how bad it is, I'll give you that. When Booty and Pop Douglas are your only non-awful receivers, all right, fair.
Sure.
When you add in players Diggs and Mac Hollins and Kyle Williams, he's a big play guy who we all loved in the draft.
I wanted us to draft him so bad.
Yeah, it was like all of us that were in that like group chat or whatever, and that we did that show together. We all liked Kyle Williams in like the third round where he got drafted. Yeah. And he hasn't had a lot of opportunities, but he has like 4 40-yard touchdowns this year.
He separates and gets down the field. All the things we kind of needed, you know?
Yeah.
And then I thought Bishop was great in this game. I thought that Poyer played well. I don't think he was bad.
Poyer's best game.
No deep shots at all, which was really nice for a team that loves to throw the deep shot. Like, they either said no more deep throws or it just wasn't there. And honestly,
all they did was check it down.
Shedeur, I'll say this. This is the most controlled I've seen Shedeur play. I know he threw the 2 picks, and one of them really wasn't his fault at all. Actually, both kind of weren't his fault. Like,
they were deflections. I mean, yeah. I feel like Shedeur was throwing the ball a little bit low, which is why we had like 5 pass deflections. But that's kind of nitpicking.
But he's like 6 foot even. Like, he's not a big, tall guy. So, like, you know, I thought he was fine in the game. I think he showed a lot as far as a rookie goes. I thought he held his poise pretty well. Rousseau, I'll give him his flowers. I can give you a hard time about him all the time. I think he was really good in the game. I think it's his best game, better than the Arizona game. I thought he beat his guy more cleanly than he had the week before. I think he kind of raises his level a little bit when he plays against teams who have good edge rushers. He always has good games against the Steelers too, it seems like. I feel like when we play good edge rusher teams, he elevates a little bit. That's weird. I don't know why. You know, the offensive line for them is banged up, but we spoke about this before. We've had games where he does nothing against backup offensive linemen. So I'm glad he just did what he was supposed to do in this game, and he was great.
It's weird. He's consistently inconsistent. He'll go like a month of nothing, then he'll go like a month where he's like legitimately looks like he's like a top 5 edge rusher in football. Like, the first month of the year, we're like, all right, he has that knee bruise, he's injured, whatever. And then like the Patriots game through like through the Chiefs game, he was dominant. And then the Dolphins game through the Bengals game, he disappeared. And then the last 2 weeks, he's been very good again.
Yeah, I agree. It's, you know, I think it's hopefully he's catching a stride at the right time, you know, and maybe he learned something about himself in this game of like, okay, this is how I win. I mean, he's still kind of winning the same ways, like the bull rush. I
also think that's partly coaching, is where they just want him to do that.
And
we see our other defensive ends do that a lot also. It's just they don't keep contain as much.
And honestly, Bosa gets a little bit of flack for this game, but I thought he played relatively well. He was getting pressure. He just didn't get to the quarterback.
Yeah. Like Epinesa and Bosa are kind of similar, where they're not great at keeping contained to be aggressive. But at least a lot of times when Bosa does it, it leads to big plays where it's like, all right, it's annoying when it doesn't, like when he gets beat.
When he's running behind the guy chasing him.
It's like, all right, that gets annoying, but it's at the same time, it's like, okay, he's making the big plays. Epinesa really hasn't made that many big plays, and I have yet to see him keep contained once. It's getting awful where teams are running like these trick plays and these outside runs to just target him specifically. Like Cleveland did it like 4 times in the first half.
Yeah, I had to have more higher hopes for Epinesa this year. I thought last year was his best year. I thought
2 years ago was his best.
Well, maybe it was 2 years ago. Yeah.
Then he got the contract and he's been.
Yeah. And I think he's kind of, you know, I thought he was kind of a mid-tier defensive end too, but now I'm like, he's probably just more like a mid-tier DN3 on a team, maybe DN4 even on some teams. I don't know where the sack production in college went. Like, I know he won a certain type of way in college, but he was a sack machine in college, and he's never been that. Even with a lot weight loss, he's never done it.
With the and that's against the Big Ten, which have some of the best offensive linemen in football, in college football.
Yeah, and I agree, and that's the part I was kind of weirded out. I was like, I don't know how he doesn't give us a little bit more than he's given us. I mean, at least give us like 5 sacks a year kind of guy, and he's just never done that.
I agree. I agree with this comment here. But for pass rushing, I still don't trust their run defense. Oliver will make it better because he kind of makes him and Walker will make those like tackle for losses, but we're still going to get gashed. I feel like because of DaQuan Jones and TJ Sanders. He's been all right, and then Jordan Phillips not good. Phidarian Mathis not very good. It's like we just don't have anyone that could hold on to double teams, and that's where it's like It's kind of like the wide receiver room and the nose tackle positions. I kind of feel is similar. We don't need a dominant guy.
No.
We just need someone who consistently do this one thing. For wide receivers, we just need someone who consistently beat man. For a nose tackle, we just need someone who consistently hold a double team because we have players who can beat one-on-ones. Walker can beat one-on-ones. Oliver can beat one-on-ones. TJ Sanders can beat one-on-ones. But you put them, even Dwayne Carter, if he ends up making the team next year, I don't know what's going on. But what I saw his rookie year, I saw him had like a 3-game stretch of being really, really good, beating a lot of one-on-ones. But you just put them up at 2-on-ones, and they're just undersized. They're just not very good.
Yeah, there's just for lack of a better word, there's just no penetration in the defensive line in the middle at all. And it's hurting Bosa.
Gaping holes.
Yeah, and I think it hurts Bosa and Rousseau too, right? It allows the offensive line to focus on them a lot, and then the defense, and because they don't have to worry about them penetrating, Like Deion Walker can kind of do it, but at the same time, like the other guys just aren't, and they're not holding up the point of attack. They're getting pushed. DaQuan Jones getting pushed 2-3 yards downfield sometimes.
And then it hurts the linebackers too, because the whole point of being able to hold a double team is, now there's not a 300-pound guard coming downhill at me. I have a little bit more time. Unless they're reacting perfectly and shooting the gap, the guards are getting to them. You would like them, I guess, in an ideal situation, just the best linebacker is just going to attack right away. But if you have better defensive tackles, it gives them a little more leeway to be able to if they don't react right away, they can still come up and make the play. And that's why we have these big gaping runs, because if the linebackers don't react right away, they're going to get blocked. And then there's no one until Cole Bishop comes and makes the tackle, or Jordan Poyer comes and makes the tackle. And then I hate people who are like, Greg Rousseau's this elite run defender on the worst run defense in football. It's because, they just run away from him. Kind of like how our game plan was to just stay away from Myles Garrett. That's how teams' rushing game plan is. Just run away from Greg Rousseau.
And you can't.
Because no one else can stop the run.
Yeah, just because you have one elite defensive end that can stop the run doesn't mean that the run defense is going to be good. He can't do the job of 4 people.
Just like if you have like Houston's offensive line last year was terrible. They had Laramie Tunsil, who was very good. But just because you have one good offensive lineman, the Cleveland Browns offensive lineman was awful. Offensive line was bad for years, and they had one of the greatest left tackles in NFL history. Just because you have when it comes to offensive and defensive lines, depth and consistency is better than just one stud, unless you have like a Myles Garrett game record. That's a little bit different.
Then they have to hedge everything.
That's a little bit different, but unless you have that, it's better to just be average across the board than have one star, because teams can just game plan away from the one star. But if they're average, at least it's like, all right, they're consistent. We can't game plan towards one person. And that's the problem with the defensive line is we have one very good defensive end, two very good defensive ends in Bosa and Groot.
When they're healthy.
And when they're healthy.
When they're not worn down. Like I think Bosa, he's just worn down at this point. I think he has to be, because they don't have any other options in that position. They only have.
I think come playoff time, they'll have a little more juice just because it's playoff time, and players always get more energy. But right now it's kind of that's why I'm hoping that if the Texans beat the Chargers and then we win, it's like, all right. I mean, either way, actually, if we win, I'm hoping we can get an early, just dominant lead on the Jets.
So that's a good transition to the playoff conversation.
And then just rest people week 8. I'm hoping we get kind of like week 18 against Miami in 2020, where we had the starters out there for the first quarter. We were up by, I don't even know if it was half, but we were up by 3. We were up 21-0 at the end of the first, and then so we didn't play our starters that much. It's kind of like
I think it was 28-3 at halftime, and then we benched.
Yeah, it was like a semi-bye week.
Yeah, and then we rolled up 40 on them plus with the backup.
Yeah, I think we dropped over 50. Isaiah McKenzie had 3 touchdowns in that game.
Yeah. And then that was Gabe Davis's first touchdown too. Judon would do a much better job setting the edge than Bosa. Would play Judon early as being Bosa. I don't know. I feel like Judon's a liability as a primary.
He's a terrible run defender. He's a terrible run defender at this point. He's a versatile pass rush specialist. You can just move around and and just hope he has a little bit of juice to get some wins. But
Yeah.
No, even though Bosa can be frustrating with his QB contains, it's because he's going for the big play, which is kind of like it's annoying when it doesn't work, but that's kind of how I want our defense to be. I just don't think we're talented enough up front to really just the bend don't break. I just don't think is going to work. I think we need to make some big plays, get some turnovers, and because like in the Browns game, if we didn't get those 2 interceptions, the Browns might have dropped 30 on us. But we were big play. I mean, granted, it was a drop and a deflection, but we were opportunistic and made plays, and we were able to come out with the win. And I think against New England, we were able to get the interception. It was basically a punt, but
So
against Cincinnati, the 2 interceptions. So opportunistic defense is kind of and just rely on our offense to score points, and our defense get the offense the ball back.
Yeah. So let's talk about the most not opportunistic. What do we think the best option is for us playoff time? Okay. In my opinion, looking at the schedule, I don't think we're going to win the division. I just think it's a really long shot to Miami. I thought Miami would come out some juice with Quinn Ewers. He just looked he looked fine. Ewers in the first part of the game, they faded. They got their ass kicked. I think they've quit on the team. The Jets clearly have quit on themselves. So I almost would rather be, but I started thinking about, I'd almost rather be the 5 seed in some ways, right? Play the Steelers first, right? Let's say it's Broncos 1, just for the sake of the argument.
Who's the ones? I think New England's the 1 seed. I think they have the tiebreaker over Denver. So they went out. I think they get the 1 seed.
Maybe. Hold on. Let me look and see really quick. Because I wonder if it's worth it. Like, hold on. I'll do the standings. I'm just going to look at it really quick. Playoffs. I'm going to share this, I think, just so we have it.
Okay, never mind. I was wrong.
Let's just look at it for a second. Share screen.
Yeah, they have the tiebreaker based on win percentage in common games.
All right, so I'm gonna.
And they don't play any teams. They don't play any teams New England's lost to. So yeah, if Denver wins out, they get the 1 seed.
Oh, that's the wrong thing. Hold on. Let me just remove this. We'll share again.
The Patriots don't play any when Denver's lost. Yeah, so no, they get the 1 seed.
All right, so if I'm going, let's do ESPN. There we go. Share it out. Boom. Okay. So this is where we are, right? Let's zoom it so people can see it at home. Okay. So we got Denver. Let's just assume. All right. Let's flip with the Chargers. Let's say we flip to 5, right?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think there's really any scenario where the Chargers get the 6 seed, because if they went out and then they beat Denver, they get the division. But if they lose to Houston, they drop below them. They're getting either the 5. They're getting either probably the 7 seed or like a top 3 seed.
Okay, so let's say we go 5, Houston's in 6, and Chargers at 7.
Chargers in 7.
Okay, so you got the Patriots versus Chargers. I love that matchup for the Chargers. I'm not saying they'll win that game, but I like them better than I do the Patriots as far as like just how they're playing. I think the Patriots still a little bit fool's gold. Jags playing Texans. That's fantastic. I think that'll be whoever wins that game doesn't matter to me, because that means the Texans would have to come to Buffalo no matter what, or we get to go to Jacksonville. They've been playing hot. I almost kind of prefer the Texans to win that game.
Here's the thing. Well, say hypothetically that New England beats the Chargers.
Yeah.
Then we're rooting for Houston, so we go into New England instead of into Denver. Or not? We go into New England instead of into Jacksonville. Because if say New England beats the Chargers and Jacksonville beats Houston and we beat Pittsburgh, we'd be going into Jacksonville. I'd rather be going into New England.
Yeah, maybe. I was more thinking like maybe if we would win and the Texans win, we'd end up going to we would go to New England. No, wait.
If we win and the Texans win, we would either be going into Jacksonville or into Denver, depending on who wins between.
I would rather have that because we would potentially have a home playoff game potential at the end. Because I think the Texans can beat both those teams.
You're right. If the Texans beat the Jags, then the Chargers beat the Patriots, you're right. We would host Houston at that point.
Right. Or if, let's say, the Jags and the Patriots lose, right? That would mean that the Chargers are going to Denver. And then we would end up playing the next game against Well, if Jags lose, we would get a home playoff game right there because we would end up playing Houston in Buffalo. If Buffalo, Houston, and the Chargers win, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we would shift the Chargers to Denver, and we would get a home playoff game in the divisional round. I feel like that's even a better chance for us than it would be if we had the 2 seed. Look at the other 2 seed, right?
I want to
play the Texans first.
I want to respond to this real quick.
Yeah.
Chargers beat Houston and lose to Denver and get the 6 seed. No, they would get the 7 seed because Houston would have the head-to-head tiebreaker over them. If the Texans beat the Chargers and we beat Philly, we're the 5. Houston's the 6. The Chargers are the 7. And then as long as Houston beats Indy week 18, there's just no way the Chargers can get the 6 seed.
So if the Chargers beat the Texans, right, but then lose the next game, they would fall and we went out.
I read that wrong. Yeah, that is actually true. I read that wrong.
Yeah, so they could be the 6 seed.
I did read that wrong. Yes, that is.
We need to root for the Texans to be the 7, so they can go into Denver. You know what I mean? Because I think that's a great matchup for both of those teams. Like they're like the same team.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And they get the 7, and then the Chargers get the 6, and they would be going into Jacksonville, and then we would be hosting Pittsburgh, and New England gets the 1 seed. And then in this scenario, we'd want Denver to win to lock out Houston, and we'd want Jacksonville to win. So then we'd be going into New England, and then going into New England, and then I still like our chance to go to New England, and then we'd either be going into Jacksonville or Denver, the winner of that game. Hopefully Denver, honestly. I'm the most scared of Jacksonville right now at this point because their defense is playing good and their offense is playing amazing. They can run the ball. They have the best coaching staff in the AFC, in my opinion. And Denver's just not playing good football. I'm scared of Houston and Jacksonville the most.
Yeah.
And those are the only 2 teams where it's like, the other teams I kind of feel fairly confident we'll be able to win.
Yeah. Coop says, screw the Bills. You're holding Darius Slay hostage. You're not winning this week.
Oh,
that's
cool,
man.
We're not.
Guess
we're
what?
We're not hosting Darius Slay hostage.
No. You know what? We are holding him hostage. And you know what? Kiss our ass.
He should be a professional and out of his contract.
Hey,
it's the NFL.
It's the NFL, dude. Sorry, you don't get to choose where you go when you get cut. You want to retire in Philly, you shouldn't have left in the first place. You just took a lower contract at the time instead of leaving. They would have signed him for a CB5 on that team or CB4. He wanted to go and start in Pittsburgh and left them. And then when he got cut, he's like, well, I really don't want to move again. Well, you'd have to move to Philly. I guess he probably has a house there, though. Who cares? Like, you're a millionaire, dude. Pay for somebody to move your stuff. It's not that big of a deal. You're like, what, 33 years old? Like, who gives a shit? So, and he had to say, go Birds and blah, blah, blah. I wish I knew who he was on Twitter so then we could bookmark some of his tweets when we win this week. So anyway, so I think the 5 seed is not a bad situation. The only downside of the 5 seed is you lose the division and then the Patriots talking about shit, and I just don't like that. That's the only part.
That's why I'll just ignore it until we beat them in the division round, and then I won't hear the end of it. But then they'll bring up Super Bowl rings, because any team that brings up Super Bowl rings is because they are worse than the team this year. Yeah, if you have to bring up Super Bowl rings, it's because you're losing the argument in the current day. If you have to bring up prior stuff.
Exactly. You're at a point where you don't have anything else to say, so you have to dwell on what happened, 40 years ago, like the Dolphins when they say it. It's like, dude, it was like none of y'all were alive to watch those championships, dude.
Yeah. The Patriots, they don't have Tom Brady and Bill Belichick anymore. This isn't and outside of Brady and Belichick, they're a poverty franchise. I get they had the greatest dynasty ever because of those two, so they're not a poverty franchise. But I'm saying outside of that. So when they don't have those two, they should not be talking as much shit as they do. But it's New England.
Exactly.
Boston sports fans are terrible.
The problem is that they got overexcited about their 10-game win streak. They thought they were back, and then we kind of hit them with a reality check a little bit about who they are. They're a good team. I mean, I'm not going to say they're not a good team. I mean, I don't care who you're playing. You're on the schedule. You're playing. You're winning 10 games in a row. You gotta give them credit for it.
If I'm being honest, though, I think they're the 6th best team in the AFC.
Yeah, I think all right.
Maybe 5th. It's between them and the Chargers, but I just trust Herbert more.
So I think that you got to look at teams like what are they at their best, And I do feel like at our best and at their best, we would win against them easily. Now, that's at our best. Are you going to see that every week? Probably not.
No.
Not with this team. We're too inconsistent.
And that's partly why I blame coaching a little bit more than the GM, because it's the coach's job to get them to play consistently good football.
Yeah, I agree, but if you don't have the horses to do it, it's really difficult to like do that and get the. I mean, you might be getting the most out of a bunch of trash, you know.
I mean, but also look at it. Chicago and Jacksonville were laughing stocks. They get elite coaching, and now they're some of the best teams in football.
Yeah, but I also think that they have their roster got stacked pretty good in the offseason. I thought that their offensive line improved a lot. Their defense got better. I think players are developing.
I just think it's more coaching. Because I'm also seeing San Francisco's defense has been pretty good this year. San Francisco has been riddled with injuries. They've had Mac Jones starting half the year, lost their two best defenders, and they're 10-4.
Yeah,
I think coaching. I think coaching
is
the second most important thing besides having a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, I think part of it. Well, here's the second, I think, caveat with that was I think it's a personnel decision issue too, where I thought bringing Babich as the defensive coordinator. We haven't heard from him in months. He's not the defensive coordinator anymore. We know that. I mean, he's not calling it. He's not doing anything. And that's a problem. Like, I know they liked him because it's, kind of like
I liked him.
I liked him okay in his mindset, but he just doesn't know how to call a game. And now McDermott's having to do both. And I think
I just loved him.
He doesn't need to do.
Well, I loved him as I just thought he got the best out of the linebackers when he was the linebackers coach. He got the best out of the safeties when he was the safeties coach. I get positional coach is better than defensive. It was different than defensive coordinator, but my thought was that's two different positions where as soon as he became the coach, we had all pros from there. I'm thinking, let him try and work on the entire defense that way, and it just hasn't worked out.
Yeah, Some people are just good. I mean, some people are better at positional coaching. You know what I mean? I think that some people are just like really good at
quarterbacks.
Yeah, developing players and their skill sets than they are calling plays. Like McDermott actually, if he could just focus on just the defense, I think he's really good. He's shown that he's been really good at calling plays over the years. Now,
I think he's a decent play caller. I think his defensive philosophy, defensive line philosophy,
that's the problem.
Just such a glaring issue, and that's the issue. If he was just like a defensive coordinator calling games, I think he'd be good. But his philosophy when it comes to how he wants a defensive line built, I think is so utterly stupid. It's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. I get you can blame Beam too. But I just think the way he wants every defensive lineman as light as possible and every defensive end as big as possible, I think it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life and so unbelievably ass backwards. It's basically as dumb as how Brandon Beane wants every wide receiver to be 6'5" and can block.
Yeah, I agree. Like the linebacker position, it's the hybrid between having the really small linebackers and then having small defensive tackles, right? It's like
and then big defensive ends.
And then big defensive ends. It's just like we're built kind of backwards. It's like having a big, giant, muscular dude with small legs. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't work a lot of times when you're trying to be functional as a defense. And then I think that the players that we used to be able to rely on, like Milano, I know he's been better the last few weeks, but he's showing some age. And Terrell Bernard is showing maybe who he really is. And I think that now we're kind of undermanned in that role because of it. So
I'm not saying Bean is of no. He definitely deserves some criticism for sure.
I think
people just be like, oh, there's nothing McDermott can work with. When I think of the defensive side of the ball, a lot of it is just the players he wants.
Yeah,
and he's working hand in hand with Bean. Offensively, I'm not getting anything towards McDermott other than maybe keeping on Joe Brady. But then again, I thought Joe Brady last year was really good. So and I get not wanting to fire someone mid-season. Offensively, I think it's definitely more Bean for the wide receivers, but defensively, I think it's definitely more McDermott.
Yeah, I think the thing with Brady is he infuriates me sometimes. But if I think about is he like a above replacement level offensive coordinator? And he probably is, right?
90% of the time he is. 90% of the time he's elite. He just has the ungodly, stupid 5 calls a game that make you want to hit your head off of a wall and punch him in the face.
Yeah, I'd say I felt that way about Daboll as well.
I felt the same way. Yeah,
infuriated me sometimes with the trick plays and opportunity situations. It just didn't make sense. The thing I hold
Bean was just overall bad.
Yeah, he just wasn't good. I just think he was too basic with his concepts. I think Bean, at the end of the day, the way I view him, I see certain things as more important than others when you are have glaring needs that we can all see, right? Like McDermott is it's almost excusable in some respects because McDermott's always had his defenses this way. And I know he's not molding with the times.
And they always fail when it matters most.
Right. But he'd argue that with the personnel that we have, the lack of pass rush in the past, things like that, that we've overperformed our level throughout the year. And it would fade against teams that can beat that scheme. The same thing with receivers. We're going to see in the playoffs, they're going to go against 2 or 3 teams with elite corner groups. And we're not going to pass the ball at all. It's going to be real bad. And we'll be able to scheme up some stuff, but it's going to look a lot like the Texans game, in my opinion, where Allen has 250 yards, but he throws 2 picks, and you're like, well, what happened in the game? No touchdowns. So I do see, like, with Bean, his main problem, in my opinion, is that, like, the glaring needs that the fan base can see, right? Because we can't really play coach, right? We're not qualified. We're not qualified for either, right? But we're definitely not qualified to coach a professional football team and know the ins and outs and the balancing act they have to deal with during the game. So I give them a little bit more grace. Where like Bean, when we're yelling at you for 2 years, we don't need wide receiver 1. We just need some players that can fill spots that aren't going to take scheme ups to get open. And you're like you're telling us that wide receiver is the stupidest freaking argument that you could come up with, and then now we're seeing it. Like, that bothers me a lot.
Well, here's my thing with the defensive line. It's like, why is every defensive lineman getting better when they leave? Besides Jordan Phillips, but Jordan Phillips is weird.
That's a line.
But also with the wide receiver thing, that came right after the draft when everyone was. I think he was getting, especially the argument. I remember the WGR one was about getting Luther Burden. Luther Burden has not been that good. And this wide receiver draft class outside of
he's not the kind of player we needed, though. We didn't need a Luther Burden.
But that's what
Kyle
WGR like. I remember those guys were they were slamming the table for Luther Burden. That's like, I remember listening. They were like, they just kept saying, oh, we should take Luther Burden over, and then we ended up taking Max, who definitely was the pick. If we took Burden, the team would be worse. But outside of really what rookie wide receivers have been that good this year?
I think it's more of an argument of the year before. Like, they got Keon.
And that's where it's like,
there was no double dip. It didn't come. And then this year was almost like he threw us a cherry with Caden Prather, which was a slap in the face. The thing is,
he did get a veteran. It was Curtis Samuel, the injuries, whatever. And then he drafted a guy. I don't blame Bean for the resources he allocated. I just blame him for the players he got. I thought he's allocated good resources. I think he's just allocated it to the wrong players.
Yeah, I agree with that. My thing,
AKA him taking Keon Coleman over. If we had Ladd McConkey instead of Keon Coleman, I just strongly believe there would be no argument about the wide receiver core. I think that was just such a monumental issue that it makes it look so bad. I think if he did everything else like he did and just drafted Ladd McConkey over Keon Coleman, there would be no argument right now. We would have at least an average wide receiver core, which is all we need. We don't need Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. We just need players who can get open, so when Josh is doing Josh Allen things, there's someone he can throw the ball to.
Yeah, I think that's part of the problem, right? Is like that his idea of the wide receiver position. It's really weird in free agency. Well, I shouldn't say this because Diggs is the only one he really hit on in free agency. I mean, I guess John Brown for a year and Beasley. Like, those are good jobs.
Beasley. Yeah, I would say up until
it's weird. After that,
I would say
awful.
I would say up until 2020, because even 2021, Emmanuel Sanders, I thought, brought good value.
Yeah,
and then
he's old.
He completely switched how he did everything. But I mean, I thought that was probably our best receiving core was 2021.
Mm-hmm. At their best,
and
their prime.
I think even that year, not even just if you're taking everyone in their prime, I think that year alone was the best of receiving. You could maybe make an argument 2020, but I think that was more so just defenses hadn't adjusted. They hadn't seen it before. In 2021, they had seen it before, and we were still pretty dominant, at least passing the ball. I just think that after 2021, he completely changed how he wanted the receiving core. It just after 13 seconds, it was he let Emmanuel Sanders walk, he let John Brown walk, and he's like, now we're just going to get a bunch of Gabe Davises.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? Like, he goes out and he's like, we get really high level success, right? The best passing team we've ever seen, right? 2020 and 2021, right? I'd argue 2020 was better, but I understand why you say 2021, just because Brown had he was still there, but he was kind of lost a step. And then we brought in Sanders, who was past his prime, but they could at least split the duties.
And then Knox took a step that year too.
Yeah, he took a step. Yeah,
that was Knox's contract.
Yeah, so maybe they were more deadly that year. That was the year with 13 seconds game, right?
Yeah,
but it was weird. Like he went after Beasley and Diggs and Emmanuel Sanders and Brown, separators, smaller but separators. Allen was elite, and then he's like, nah. We're going to lean into these big, slow motherfuckers. Like, I don't understand why you would ever do that. Like, anyway, but why the pivot after you saw it worked? Were you afraid? Were you upset we were calling them the midget squad or the Smurf squad or whatever for so many years?
It was mad that we didn't have a lot of run after catch.
Like, yeah, like, okay. I
don't care. I would rather have someone get open 20 yards down the field than someone get open 5 yards down the field and run it for another 5-10 yards. You got more yards in the 20 with no rack than the 5 with 10 rack.
Because the defense can scheme it up and go, we know when the screen's coming. When's the last screen we saw from Shakir that actually worked really well? It's been weeks. And the reason is because every time we throw a screen to them, I can call it watching it from home.
I literally called that.
They know it's coming too.
And I go, this is going to be a screen. And it was. And I'm like, wow.
2 yards or 1 yard, negative yards. Like, and it's too easy to predict. You can't rely on a guy breaking 10 tackles and run for 80 yards for a touchdown every time he touches the ball. Like, I know Shakir's good for 1 a year like that, right? But that's not going to be sustainable over time. What is sustainable is running good passing concepts with guys who can actually get open and separate. Not Allen rolling to the right this week. I counted 8 seconds, sitting there patting the ball, looking around, and then having to throw the ball away. Like, oh my God, like I feel like I could get open in 8 seconds. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't know where they thought that this was going to work well. They just thought we were going to do jump balls to Keon Coleman all game. I don't know. Like, it's weird, dude. I don't understand the concept.
My thing is, like, I kind of feel almost the opposite about Brady than I do McDermott. I think McDermott calls a really good game, but I don't love his scheme. I love Brady's scheme. I think the way he runs an offense, I think you want to get the run game going, motion, hit the short stuff. The issue is when we get to these third and longs, one, we just don't have receivers
who can
screens. Third and 10. We don't have receivers who can get open, and two, Brady just I think calls too predictable plays, which I think is part of receivers not being able to get open. I think if we had receivers that could get open and we still ran this type of offense, it would be so deadly because we'd be so methodical. We'd stay ahead of the chains. But then we get in third and long. It's like, all right, we still have people we can rely on to get this done.
Yeah. Like third and 11, right? What do I expect when that happens? I don't know how many in the last 4 weeks, or we won 4 games in a row on 3rd and 8 to 12, let's say. How many times we just ran a screen to Shakir on those plays?
I just don't understand why right now it should be like we're running Kincaid. It should be like 5 guys running routes and you trust your offensive line because it's elite, except for maybe against Houston. And you run Kincaid in a corner. You have Mecole and Palmer running like different level posts, like Hardman running like a deep post and Palmer on the other side of this field running like a mid-level post. And then you have Shakir running like kind of like a deeper drag towards the sticks where it's like, all right, get open and hopefully you can get the first down if the other guys fail. And then you have like a Ty Johnson or a James Cook, like a block release package. If you have them in there to block right away in case there's like an unblocked blitzer, take him down. And then if not, then you go in a little release package where it's, again, last case scenario, at least Josh doesn't have to throw it away. He can check it down and then at least hope maybe we can get a run after the catch type scenario. I think running plays like that should be perfect. It's like Kincaid can get open on those corners. Palmer can get open on those posts. Hardman can get open on those posts. And then you hope Shakir and Ty Johnson is your underneath rack guys who we've seen it work plenty of times. And the worst case scenario, there's an alley. Josh just runs it. Instead, it's just call mesh and wide receiver screen every single play and wonder why it doesn't work.
Yeah, and I think we operate this team because we have to, kind of like a power run team. But really, we're kind of like an elite finesse run team if you think about it. You know, Josh isn't running and bowling people over all the time. He'll get out of the pocket and do his thing, but you know, when it comes to our running backs, they are kind of like they got a little bit of power to them, but they're not like there's no. It's
a lot of quick cuts. It's a lot of like zone running and reading and cutting and our offensive line just getting to their spots to block the defensive line, and then you trust your running backs to beat the big
and we're not
cuts and beat the
punishing
linebackers.
people. We're never going to punish people with our run game. You know, I know being a run first team, I think is okay to lean into. I don't like it, but it's okay to lean into. But when you have our personnel, like to be a run first team, like you really need to be able to punish people in the run game to wear them down. And we just don't have those kind of players. And that's fine. I love James Cook. He's the best running back, probably the best running back in football this year. And I just don't think we're not able to punish people like that. Although it's been highly effective, I think we've been the best rushing team in the NFL this year. I think because we have to be in some ways in order to be successful.
For me, I think it does work. If we just had a wide receiver who could separate on 3rd and longs, I think it would work.
Right.
If we just had someone we could rely, and that's the issue. We just don't. Again, I think the way we run it, because when Dorsey was our OC, even when Dable, I was clamoring for this type of offense because this is exactly how McVay runs it. Shanahan, it's a lot of easy stuff. On early downs, stay out of 3rd and longs, but then in 3rd and long, they have the players. It's like, all right, McVay has Nakua and Adams to go get the first down. Shanahan has Kittle and I got McCaffrey and even like Jawan Jennings and in past Brandon Ayuk. All right, go get you the first down. And it's like we just don't have those guys. It's like, all right, we can trust you. Go get the first down.
I agree with that.
This offense could work like that as long as we had someone where on 3rd and longs we could trust to get it open for a first down.
So that's kind of how I viewed it too when we weren't doing it. I was like, we need some more yak. We need more easy completions. Things seem hard at times, right? Now it seems hard in reverse, right? Now there's nothing down the field. There's no balance. So like you're right. Like if we could run it like McVay and have at least one like serviceable receiver that can just reliable to get open.
Like a DJ Moore. Swing for the fences and AJ Brown or Justin Jefferson.
Yeah,
I think DJ Moore would be perfect.
Oh, I think I think he's swinging for the fences. I think he's going to AJ Brown.
Swing for the fences. Swing for the fences, but if you're in an 0-2 count, just get a single.
Yeah,
that's kind of my thought. It's early count, beginning of free agency, swing for the fences. But if you get that 0-2 count, don't strike out. Make contact to get a single, which is DJ Moore. Is he this super flashy guy? Is he gonna be put up 1,000? I don't know if he'd put up 1,000 yards on us, but I bet you he could put up.
He would for us. We target him like Diggs. That's why.
I don't think so. In this offense, I don't think we target him like Diggs.
Maybe not.
I think it would still be. I think the everyone eats mantra works if we had a receiver that it's like, all right, 3rd and long, go and do your thing. We just
take pressure off the other guys, and it takes pressure off the other guys.
And it's kind of like a decoy, but not a decoy. And the role that Diggs had in 2023, where he got super pissed about it, I think DJ Moore would be fine in that role, and I think that's exactly what we need.
Yeah.
And I don't know if DJ Moore would have 1,000 yards. I bet you would have like 800-900 yards, but he'd have a bunch of third and long completions to keep the offense rolling. And so we're not getting in these ruts because when it's rolling good, it's like we're scoring on 4 straight possessions, but then it's not rolling good. Defense start to adjust and we punt 4 straight times. And it's like we had a DJ Moore. It's like, all right, when we get in these ruts, go make a big play so our offense can get out of the rut.
All right, let's do our predictions. You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go 24-20 Bills. I'm aware of that rushing attack, but our offense, I don't see Hurts being able to throw the ball that much because our pass defense is very good against quarterbacks who can't consistently hit high-level throws.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts can make some high-level throws. He can hit deep shots, but again, we're very good against stopping the deep shots. But he's not consistently hitting the middle of the field, and that's kind of where we're kind of susceptible is the middle of the field. He's a lot of deep shots, a lot of boundary to an A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And with how good Benford's been, I bet you we could kind of shut down A.J. Brown. And then with how good Harrison and Trey White have been, I think they can hold their own against Smith. And maybe he'll hit a bunch of Goddard, and I'm scared about that run game. I think Saquon could have a good game, but Jalen Hurts hasn't been good this year, and I just don't think he's capable enough as a passer to really shred the way our defense is through the air. So I don't see them scoring a whole lot of points. I don't see us scoring a whole lot of points either because they have a decent defense.
Yeah, Saquon would be the fear, but he hasn't been that good this year.
I think it's more of just like the kind of the scheme and Hurts not being able to throw the ball.
And they're out of sync a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that we play up and play down to our competition a lot, right? So I think this is going to be a close game. I was kind of leaning towards where you were saying too, but I feel like this when we come off of a bad offensive performance, I feel like we always bounce back. You know what I mean? I feel like a 30-point game's coming. I think 30-27 Buffalo would be my choice. I just think that I think we're both going to score a fair amount. And I don't know if it's even going to be
Josh
that close.
gets to 3 touchdowns because I just want him to keep that 40 streak alive.
Oh, he'll hit that. Yeah, he'll get.
I'm pretty confident he will, but like
he'll get that.
I want it to happen.
Me too. But yeah, I say 30-27, something like 30-20 late in the game, and then they score 27, and then like have to get onside kick and don't get it. That's what my brain's telling me. I mean, it's probably always wrong.
I mean,
so
I think it's going to be
I
think it'll be a decently close game. I mean, there's a possibility, but we are also statistically the best December team.
And it's in Buffalo. It's in Buffalo.
Yeah, if it was in Philly, I'd say we lose. I know at the beginning of the year I projected we'd win, and I do this every year where at the beginning of the year I project we lose these games, and it comes down to it. I always project we'll win the week of. Like I did with Houston, I did with New England, and I did with Philly. But I don't really care that we're going to win this game because I want us to.
Yes, sir. All right. That's it, man. Anything you want to shout out? You're going to be at the game this week. You're going to be jumping off a bus. You want to tell them what lot you're in so they can show up?
Sheldon Road Apartments. I hopefully don't have any haters.
I know,
Except for Ravens fans. They can hate me all they want because the feeling's mutual.
I know, right? All right. We'll see you guys next time. Please like, share, subscribe, and go Bills.
Go Bills.
For the best Italian food in Western New York, Elliott Apollos, call 716-825-3675. The Lardon Construction Group.
Fubo TV, the official streaming service of Do Champions. FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Do Champions.
For all your summertime needs, beauty pools, as well as kayak pools.
CX Chronicles, your total customer solutions focused manager. W.GG, the official energy drink of Do Champions.
Hey, Sons of Erie, our artwork looks better on your walls. Hamburg Brewing, please visit our tap room on Boston State Road, Hamburg, New York. And finally,
Fat Boy Surf Club for all your surfing needs.